sizing up, starting up, and styling around in Tokyo this week on Take's Take.
Thanks so much for tuning in for another episode of Photography Radio. My name is Tomasz and today you are listening to Take's Take with Take Kayo, where he covers what's new and interesting in the world of photography, including digital, analog, mobile, and everything in between. Enjoy.
Can you imagine your life without photography? No? Then you will love this show. And it doesn't matter if you're a DSLR, a mirrorless, or a mobile phone shooter. We're here to help your photography grow. This is Photography Radio.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Take's Take, which is my take on photography news this week. So let us begin now. Yes, folks, it's Black Friday, the official beginning of shopping season here in North America. And when it comes to photography, perhaps you or someone you know are considering upgrading their camera gear this year, specifically investing into the mirrorless interchangeable lens camera system. To begin, there is no bad camera or bad system out there. They're all competent and take great images, but which one is right for you? My fellow Canadian YouTubers Chris and Jordan from DP Review recently posted a comparison video for what they considered to be the best mid-level APS-C cameras out there, and I thought that was really interesting. Like them, I believe that the mid-level APS-C cameras provide the best value for the average consumer, and where the majority of photographers should start as their baseline for image quality and performance. Now, in that video, they listed these as the top 4 cameras to consider: the Canon M6 Mark II, the Fujifilm X-T30, the new Nikon Z50, and the Sony A6400. And for the most part, I agreed with what they presented in the review, but more importantly, seeing such heavy competition in this segment of the market, it really shows where the entire camera market is going in terms of sensor size, which is they are all sizing up. Now, this upshift occurred when Fujifilm entered the mirrorless medium format market a couple of years ago by targeting professionals in the high-end full-frame market. Then the full-frame market went aggressive and also focused on the high-end and specialized professional market, leaving APS-C a lot of room to target both higher-end, which I would consider higher-end APS-C as the Leica CL and the newly announced X Pro 3, and to a lesser extent the X-T3 and the Sony A6600, but as well as the previous mentioned mid-level APS-C cameras. So where does this upsizing leave Panasonic and Olympus in their Micro Four Thirds platform? Well, I think Panasonic saw this coming, and they joined forces with Leica on the L-mount platform, leaving Olympus all by themselves as the only exclusive Micro Four Thirds interchangeable lens camera manufacturer. So it's pretty clear that the market has sized up when it comes to sensor size. APS-C is the new entry-level format for mirrorless interchangeable lens camera systems. And this is where we're going to see the biggest battle for sales in terms of entry-level price point. So keep your eyes open and look for deals if you're in the market to buy a brand new camera. Moving on to analog photography. Many of us have noticed a renewed interest in film photography. And we're not just talking about the cool hipster kids going to college, but even us older ones, we've dusted off our old film cameras and we're kind of interested in getting back into shooting the old school way. And now it seems like all of us are interested in the entire process. The loading of the film, the shooting of the film, and now even processing our own film. Now, unlike the old days where us old-timers can get our film processed in under an hour at any grocery or drugstore chain, the new generation of film photographers, they have to hunt down, or I should say we have to hunt down where to process our film now, including going online. Because of this, many new film photographers have decided to start up and develop their own negatives at home, and the manufacturers have taken note. Ilford, the largest black and white film chemistry and paper and film company in the world, they have their new Simplicity film processing kits with easy to follow instructions and ready to mix chemistry for the beginner photographer. Each kit can only process 2 rolls of 35mm or 1 roll of 120. That doesn't sound like much, but it is great for someone who's just starting out or someone who just wants to test their chemistry before deciding on buying larger quantities. As well, Tetanol 1847, a newly formed German film chemistry company, also has their Magic Box system, which includes starter packs for C41, which is color negative, E6, which is color slide, and RA4, which is color print. So if you are a beginner and you want to start up with your own processing, Ilford and Tetanol gives you the opportunity to buy these sampler kits for black and white, color negative, color slide, and color prints. And I think that is pretty amazing. This week's featured photographer is American photographer John Sypal, who is a very active film photographer who lives in Tokyo. Although he's technically an amateur photographer, he's very dedicated to his craft and an extremely talented black and white street photographer. For his photographic work, he only shoots with his film cameras, his main camera being his Leica MP. He rolls his own film, he develops his own film, processes, he creates his own contact sheets, and then he prints every print by hand. Now, if you don't know John by his real name, on Instagram, he's known as Tokyo Camera Style. Now, unlike his personal work, this account is dedicated to featuring other photographers, and he uses his iPhone for that, I think. And he features these photographers and their beloved cameras in Tokyo, 99% of them being analog photographers. And this makes sense because John spends much of his time at photo shows and photo galleries, and these places are magnets for those artsy film-type photographers. He also features well-known Japanese street photographers like Daido Moriyama and Nobuyoshi Araki. But he also finds many of these photographers that he features on his Instagram account just walking through the streets of Tokyo. So follow John Sypal on Instagram as @Tokyo Camera Style as he daily uploads his life as a film photographer living in Tokyo. And it looks pretty exciting. Now, if you want to see any of John's film photography work, you have to buy his photo books and prints since he doesn't share his film work on Instagram, or he doesn't share it very often. Now, you can find his books or his prints, whatever he has available at this time, in the description on his Instagram account. He'll give his link. So that's it for this week on Take's Take. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next week. So happy shooting, everyone.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. Hit subscribe on your podcast app. It would mean a lot for us to have you as our regular listener. Head over to photographyradio.com to drop your suggestion for future editions of Photography Radio or simply to say hello. We would absolutely love to hear from you. In the meantime, have a wonderful night, and we will be back with more photography in your ears very soon.